Hello, everyone. Welcome to the universe. Welcome to the continuation of the Season 5 My Hero Academia review series. I am John Kearns, joined today by Tim Farley.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Timmy boy, what are we here to talk about today?
Today we are going to talk about not your hero academia, but our villain academia.
My villain academia. It is the beginning of the arc that the manga readers have been hyping up for a very long time. Because of the hype, I've been looking forward to this since last Saturday. How about you?
Yeah, I'm always looking forward to another episode of My Hero Academia.
I am as well.
The week that it wasn't on this season, I felt empty. So
Same. Both times that happened. This episode was sort of a setup episode for what's to come with the Meta Liberation War that is on the horizon. Focused a lot on Tomura Shigaraki and a little bit of his backstory.
yeah,
Focused a lot, pretty
fucking devastating.
Yeah. Focused a lot on the Mad Doctor that is working for All for One as well. So I'm going to get into the summary. We're going to use section by section here.
The Mad Doctor gave a name, and it started with a D.
And then he said that he just made it up.
Right.
So he doesn't want anybody to know where he is, know who he is, or all that. The name he came up with is Daruma Ujiko.
Yes, and his transmission pet was named Johnny, like you.
That's me. I'm the transmission pet.
Like a gargoyle dog.
With a big mouth and stuff sticking in its fucking head. Anyway, we're going to get into the summary. As Tomura Shigaraki continues his painful experimentation, he remembers back to the events that led to this point. He first recalls Kurogiri's words to him prior to his capture about seeking out a power, All for One left behind for him, that he went to go retrieve. He then thinks back to about 2 months ago in October when the League of Villains encountered said power, Gigantomachia. Now, we've seen Gigantomachia a few times before this. He is the big giant bastard that roams the woods around UA that Deku had a run-in with.
If you watch Attack on Titan, he kind of resembles the Titan.
Yeah, definitely. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe in the episode with Ejiro Kirishima's backstory, Gigantomachia is the villain that encounters the girls led by Mina Ashido. I only said led because she was the character that we knew that was in that group. So we've seen him a couple times, and we've heard the name Gigantomachia a bunch. So Gigantomachia proceeds to rampage around, crying to his master, All for One, about how weak Tomura is. A voice on a nearby radio, which Tomura recognizes as All for One's doctor, tells them that he used to be All for One's bodyguard, and thanks to his extraordinary stamina, is able to handle multiple quirks without modification, unlike the Nomus, and what we've come to learn about them. He says how shortly after All for One took Tomura in, he hid Gigantomachia away believing he'd soon be defeated by All Might. What do you think so far, Tim?
I think that it's interesting how much devotion Gigantomachia has to All for One,
Yeah,
because the radio comes on with All for One's voice, and he stops everything.
right.
And he tells Shigaraki, "You're not worthy of my devotion. You are not worthy of my devotion. You're supposed to be his successor, and I don't see any value in it."
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any thoughts per se on this first little opening that we get. The next part for sure. Dobby questions his usefulness, with the doctor proclaiming that his loyalty is so strong he's in despair when faced with Tomura in comparison. Dobby shoots a wave of fire towards Gigantomachia, but he simply charges straight through it, completely unaffected by it. Hearing All for One's recorded voice coming out of the radio causes him to halt and start caressing it. Tomura states that he doesn't want him, with the doctor laughing at how spoiled he's become. The League are then suddenly engulfed in a black ooze coming from their mouths, which they recognize as the warping quirk All for One used during the Camino incident, with the doctor telling them to have a talk with him. The League re-emerge in an underground laboratory where they find themselves amongst tanks filled with large Nomu. The doctor, sitting in front of a computer at the end of the lab, refers to them as high-end Nomu, powerful super Nomu that are even closer to his desired masterpiece. Tomura asks if he'd be able to duplicate something, while the doctor asks how Tomura's quote-unquote father and everyone are doing. He explains that he secretly transported the League to keep his location hidden, introducing himself as an aide to All for One, Daruma Ujiko, an admitted alias. Daruma states that everything he has worked towards has been for the sake of All for One, and that he's only been giving Tomura bits and pieces of his resources because he wants to see if he's worthy of his full devotion, questioning what it is that he has to show him. Tomura mentions how he doesn't remember anything since before meeting All for One and Daruma, yet when he puts his hands on himself, he starts to swell up with rage. Before we get into the next part, any thoughts so far?
Well, that many scientist freaks me out,
Yeah,
and the supernomas
Dr. Eggman,
freak
as it
me
were.
out. Yeah, that it was just a freaky situation, and it's kind of tense because we
Very.
know how Shigaraki can lash out at any point when he feels undermined.
Undermined, gaslighted, um, anything like that. And anyone who gives him shit meets a swift end, usually.
Whether it's swift or a long thing like with Overhaul.
Yeah, with Overhaul.
He gets what he wants.
Yeah, he stole his arms. We saw him. Did Shigaraki kill Stain?
I don't
remember. I feel like he had something to do with Stain not being around anymore, but I don't know that he's dead. But he absolutely killed Nine in Heroes Rising, and he stole Overhaul's arms, basically taking his quirk away from him. So yeah, anyone that slights or, like you said, undermines Shigaraki is dealt with in a swift manner.
And another thought that I had was going into the episode and to this point, I was really excited and happy because for for there to be a great hero like Midoriya, we need a great villain.
And that is
And
Shigaraki.
what you're going to say in a few minutes
Yeah.
solidifies Shigaraki as there is nobody else. It has to be Shigaraki.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'll continue here. Shigaraki recalls his earliest memory as a young Tenko Shimura. Alone and scared in an alley, he's approached and comforted by All for One, taking him in his arms, dismissing all the people who abandoned and refused to help, stating that he is there for him now. Tenko is taken to a room where All for One says he will be his master. When Tenko asks what he will teach him, Daruma arrives with the hands of his family members, their last remains after he had murdered them. This causes Tenko to receive a violent shock to his emotional state, seeing fragmented glimpses of old memories of his family before vomiting. Daruma asks if All for One will tinker with him, but All for One decides not, so that the feelings of hatred will linger within Tenko, as he will teach him where to direct this newfound curiosity. That's a good word. I'm proud of that.
So
So this explains the hands.
right. But also the whole scene where he's having those fragmented memories and the music behind it was just so perfect because it was orchestra like type music, but it was also like very like disjointed at the same
Right.
time, and it went so well with the visual. I think that you know they said that it happened because his quirk came out of nowhere and no one knew how to do anything with it. He didn't know, his family didn't know, and that's how it happened. He didn't kill them out of
on purpose.
malevolence. It was just it just happened, and and the fact that All for One is playing this kind of like father figure where I'm going to teach you where to direct your hatred is genius for All for One because he just picked up possibly the one metahuman or paranormal human, whichever you describe it as, with one of the most villainous quirks ever.
Yeah. It's a total it's a very, very Palpatine Anakin-esque relationship, it seems. To me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So going back to the present day, Tomura Shigaraki, who is Tenko Shimura, who, if you don't know by now, is the grandson of All Might's mentor, the one who gave One for All to All Might, Nana Shimura. That's who Shigaraki is. Tomura states that when he has his family members' hands on him, it makes him feel both sick but also calm in a way. Despite the fragmented images that remain in his empty mind, no matter what he fills it with, anger comes gushing out of it endlessly. He continues that even if hero society collapsed and he were to rule from the shadows, that hatred will never go away. So if he must hate everything, he will destroy everything, proclaiming to Daruma that he will do everything to make this a reality. Daruma laughs.
He said that I will give you the most beautiful horizon.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because when he said that, I could picture, him just destroying every skyline, everything, where you just see the sky.
Where you just see the horizon.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it that way, but that's a good point.
And then it was interesting that he said that um, when he puts the hands on him, he feels all that rage, but he also feels calm. And this means to me that it's like when you are um, in a bad way. Okay, it could be depression, it could be anxiety, it could be in a bad relationship, it could be anything like that. But you have all these negative feelings about what you're going through, but you've been in it so long that the negativity is kind of comforting, and you
Yeah.
become kind of numb to it. And that's what I think, because he can't remember anything before, so all of his memories are of that rage and all of those things. So it's, even though it's a bad thing and makes him feel bad, it's the only real comfort that he can go to.
Right. Yeah, that's good insight. Really good insight. I like. Yeah, that's perfect. But Daruma laughs in response to Tomura's tenacity, accepting to assist him anyway. Himiko Toya, hey, our girl, asks Tomura if he will also destroy the things that she loves. To which he responds that there's always room for his comrades' wishes so they can live how they see fit. Daruma tells him that he always planned to help him from the start and has more power for him. However, he can't hand it over yet since the League are too weak. He tells them that if they can get Gigantomachia to submit to them, he will offer his full support. Dabi refuses to help out, which Himiko jokes is because his fire was ineffective, while Dabi claims he has found a good ally and wants to focus on that. Hey, Hawks.
Possible.
I feel like that's who. I feel like that's the tie-in to the present day. There. Good ally wants to focus on. Yeah. Dabi claims he's found a good ally and wants to focus on that, with Tomura looking forward to seeing the results. Daruma proceeds to request Dabi's help with a test for one of the high ends, even though he's still less than interested. So,
And that obviously is whenever
the high end attacked
Tsukuyomi.
Endeavor and Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
Where was that? Was that Kyushu? Was that Kyushu City? I think so.
It was the main spot.
Yeah.
Because that was the day that they were figuring out who the number one was, and it was kind of like in the commissions.
Yeah. So it's
building,
wherever
right?
that's based. I think. I don't know if it was wherever they were based. They were in some restaurant or something. But yeah. So dog refuses to blah 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 blah. Okay. Tomura asks to be sent back to where Gigantomachia is, as Daruma gives them earpieces to stay in contact. He then has his little Nomu, Johnny, warp them back to the ruins. Facing Gigantomachia again, Tomura happily states that the future king has returned. Tim, thoughts? Because I love him calling himself the future king.
Yeah, that was awesome. No real thoughts on this part.
Right. So by December, which makes me feel like, is this now caught up to present day?
I think it's during the work study.
During the work study. Right. Okay. By December, the League has continued their assault on
Because
Gigantomachia.
we had the Christmas episode,
Right.
right? And then the work study. So
Yeah.
it could be like right before work study or during work study.
Probably right before the work study because it says December. context leads us to believe that the work study happened in January because it was right after New Year's.
Right. Yeah.
So right before present day. Perfect. So the League has continued their assault on Gigantomachia. Spinner, who, if you don't remember, is the lizard guy, thinks about how even after a month and a half of fighting, he still has yet to accept Tomura. He mentions how he attacks for over 48 hours without breaks, sleeps for about 3 hours before attacking again. He notes that even with
48 hours and 44 minutes.
44 minutes. Yeah. He notes that even with Tomura getting barely any sleep and constantly being attacked, he's still able to smile. Since Tomura is his only true target, the rest of the League takes turns to rest themselves. With a small amount of money given to them by Daruma, Himeko buys a duffel coat for herself. Spinner asks Himeko, since she initially joined the League because of Stain, why she's still there when there's no longer any trace of him. Himeko gleefully states that she loves Mr. Staney, Izuku, and Ochako as well, and just loves becoming the one she loves, which Spinner brushes off. The two reconnect with Twice, Mr. Compress, and Tomura, who notes how much slower Gigantomachia has gotten since they started. Twice suddenly gets a call from Garan, who Mr. Compress has been trying to get in contact with to no avail. Twice loudly answers the phone until he hears a disguised voice coming out of the phone instead, addressing him. The voice asks them to look up the news. When they find a broadcast showing fingers that have been placed in front of the how do you say it? Shie Hasakai? Shie Hasakai compound in Hosu City. The Chuo Expressway, Comuna Ward, and Fukuoka, which the League recognizes as all places they have been to. What do we got? So, Garan, if people have forgotten, is, I believe, the guy that fed them information about Bakugo.
I honestly
Or
didn't
about
remember.
UA.
Probably.
So he was the guy. He was really like he was really frail. He looked kind of like Spike from Cowboy Bebop. He always had like the cigarette and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was a character that didn't get a lot of attention. But
I loved how Twice answered the phone and was like, "Hey, why the hell haven't you picked up any of Compressor's
calls. Yeah.
calls, you asshole, or you jerk, or whatever?"
What did he say? He said something hilarious. What did he call him? You big jerk or you big idiot or something like that.
Yeah, and then the voice was like, "Well, it's not Garan's fault. It's mine."
So the voice introduces himself as Oswald Cobblepot. Wait, no, read Destro. The leader, Reed Destro, the leader of the Meta Liberation Army, who Tomura recognizes as having sold some books lately. Trendy idea lately.
Yeah, he said he called it a fad.
Yeah, so the
And
books are obviously the ones.
Yeah.
So the books are obviously the ones that Hawks has been handing out. Twice angrily asks what happened to Garan, or Garan, or Jiren, or whatever the fuck his name is. Who he says
yes,
who he says is still alive, currently tied up next to him. He declares the Liberation Army's objective is to liberate meta powers and rebuild the world where people can freely use their abilities. Just like with the Shie Hasakai, the League believes the Meta Liberation Army just wants to use their name, with Tomura telling them to release Garan and asking to call back later once they finish up their current plans. However, Redestro states that Garan is their hostage and that even though he managed to delete his client list and keep silent, even after his fingers were severed, they managed to restore the data anywhere or elsewhere or anyhow, is what that's probably supposed to say. Redestra continues that the Liberation Army has been planning for this moment with over 110,000 warriors to the cause throughout the nation. Spinner thinks they're bluffing until he reveals the League's location, having pinpointed them with their satellite cameras, threatening to inform the pro heroes of their location. He says that the Liberation Army must be ruled by a Destro, and that the League of Villains have gotten too big, so they will crush them personally, signaling the revival of the army. He tells them to come to Deka City within the hour, and to decide whether to die by their hands or at the hands of the heroes. This is a declaration of war from the Meta Liberation Army to the League of Villains.
Now, this is very interesting because what we've seen in the past episodes of season 5, we know that
Deka City.
Twice, Dabi, and Himeko are all working there.
I think Spinner is too.
Yeah. And we know that Shigaraki is alive.
Yeah.
And
we know that Deka City is where that building fell.
We have never seen this Destro character, but
until now
we saw that blue character.
Yeah, the blue guy
in Europe that made us believe that he was the lead. So this is very interesting because now we're supposed to think that the battle of evil versus evil, one's going to topple the other, but we know that somehow they come together.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in seeing that.
And we know that the blue guy is the main baddie in World Heroes Mission. And we know that Deka City is the location where Shigaraki emerges from that building collapse.
Right.
The League questions what their next move should be, while Twice remains adamant that they try to go and rescue Jiren, the one who gave him a purpose when he was lost. Himeko wonders if he's even still alive, but Twice still insists on going to save him, even without a plan. Tomura pulls off Twice's mask, causing him to calm down / freak out, with Tomura saying he has a plan. Contacting Daruma and confirming the current status of Gigantomachia and Dabi, Tomura asks for him to warp them to Deka. Spinner questions how to deal with their supposed 110,000 strong army, with Tomura revealing that he knows Gigantomachia isn't invincible, he just has too much HP. And since he will come after him no matter where he is, he'll lure the beast to the Liberation Army and let them fight each other, which will finally wear him out. Daruma laughs at the sneakiness while also wondering if it turns out to be a bluff, with Tomura brushing it off, meaning they'll just easily die. Putting Twice's mask on him, Tomura looks off confidently, stating that he will crush them all. So, Deka City, Gigantomachia likely has something to do with that building collapse.
Smart as fuck.
Yeah. So Tomura saying that he will crush them all is the end of the episode.
Yes.
So, final thoughts?
He managed to make that plan within like
minutes.
2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And that to me was incredible. But I think what really stood out in this episode for me was Midoriya is the main character, the main hero of this show. He has one goal. He sees it and he goes after it. Shigaraki does not have that goal. But like in The Dark Knight, when Michael Caine says, "Some people just want to watch the world burn."
That's Tomura.
That's Shigaraki.
Yeah.
And when those two forces collide, it's going to be epic. But yes, as you said in the beginning of our talk, this was a nice setup.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to next week, which is called
Revival Party.
Revival Party. And I assume we're already on. This was, I believe, the 20th episode in season 5.
This was 19.
So,
I think.
yeah. Okay. So, we're coming up on the end of this season. The season will probably end with this arc.
It'll likely end with this arc, yeah. But if I quickly go to Funimation.com, I can look at what like the average for the past couple seasons has been. While I'm looking this up, do you remember anything that happened in the preview?
It wasn't much. It was just showing like the Destro in the office and like shit like that. I don't really remember. It wasn't like an epic preview. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just kind of like, you know what you're getting, so here you go.
Yeah, season 4 was 25 episodes. Season 3 8, 12, 24 was 25 episodes. So yeah, seems like the average is 25 episodes, and we're on what I think this was 19. We're coming up on 20.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, we're coming up on 20. So, judging by those averages, 5 episodes left. So yeah, this is probably finishing out the season, which I'm super okay with because I've been hyped for this arc. I am very excited to see what the Liberation Army is, what the war is going to look like. Am I finally going to get my dream team of 1B and 1A together? Am I going to get to see? I was talking to the other one about this. We were talking about how we want to see combo moves with some of the students. And we've seen it a little bit with like Bakugo's catapult move that he does. But that's more just using his classmates as weapons. One that I said is they should have Ayama reflect a laser off of Tetsu Tetsu. That'd be cool.
That'd be rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I'm really excited for the last 5 episodes because we're always focused on the heroes mostly, and this is very interesting to see how the League of Villains operate, get stronger, and how they eventually mesh with the Meta Liberation Army.
Yeah.
And figuring out all those little shady things that we've been wondering this whole time.
I'm very excited because we're probably going to get a lot of villain backstories, and I love me a good backstory. Like, I want to know more about. I mean, we're going to find out about Dobby. Probably, hopefully. That reveal might be what ends the season. I don't know when in the manga that happens. I'd imagine it has to be during this.
Neither do I, but from what I've been told, the person did not specify.
Yeah.
But it could be right before the war starts. It could be right as it starts. It could be in the middle. It could be at the end.
But anyway, yeah, exciting stuff. I'm excited. That's going to do it for this episode. It's a short one, but it was a short and sweet and to the point episode, which I really appreciated.
Well, you know why?
What?
Because it's
Just
we
two
have no
people.
women.
Well, I
have no
want
women who just go and go and go and go.
Oh, you know.
But I love it,
I love them.
and it makes great conversation.
Good man.
So with that, join us next week. Hopefully, our female friends will be here.
Hopefully.
And for the revival party. And remember to go beyond
Beyond.
plus ultra.